transgender. The truth. We are going to talk about our experiences. We're going to talk about what we know of. It's about I. We're not going to say it's all people or all individuals. This is not for every transgender that's in the community or every black transgender individual community, but we're talking about experiences and we're talking about from what we know. So we want you all to understand that. So please don't get it twisted. We see you. We're coming on. Yes, I'm still eating.
Hey, brother.
Hello, darling. How you doing?
I'm wonderful.
Looking all gorgeously. Looking all beautifully.
Thank
Got me hypnotized. I won't even eat my food. I'm standing here eating my food like this. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful, everybody. So I wanted to do this topic tonight because it's been weighing heavily on my heart the last couple of weeks. How hard it is. I don't think people automatically assume because my skin is melanated and that I'm a black woman of trans experience that I'm automatically have to be pro-black or Team Black Lives Matter. And this is something that I would like for us all to seriously have a talk with, because for me as a trans woman, it is becoming more and more difficult to sit there and be a ride and die black person when all of these issues are coming up, when the black community is so silent, is so not here, is so not supportive of our community. And it's hard to, as a black person, as a person of trans experience, to equate the two, to marinate the two. And as life continues on, it's harder and harder and harder for me as a black person to be team, okay, the white man is this and the police is fucking with y'all. Because what happened was over the weekend, I don't know when it happened, but I guess over the weekend in California, a group of black people had a protest, a cookout as a protest in California because this white lady, I'm sure y'all have been seeing these memes all over social media today. But let me explain to you what happened during these memes. This white lady was at the park, this family was at the park, and they was having a barbecue. And for no apparent reason other than they were black, she called the police on them and said that they was harassing her by having a barbecue at a public park. And as I was going more in depth into this story, reading, researching, doing, fact checking and stuff, it's been harder and harder for me to even care. Because I know if the situation was reversed, I know if it was a group of trans women in the park having an event and somebody were to call the cops on them, the first thing that would be happening, the first thing that our community would say was, we shouldn't have been there. The first thing our community would say is we was there tricking somebody, or we were there not in place. So it's harder, it's becoming harder and harder for me as a black trans woman to care, accept, have empathy for the black side of the thing when they have no empathy towards us. They don't care if we're safe. They don't care if we're happy. They don't care if we're, hell, half the time they don't even care enough to call us by the names that we present ourselves as. So how then am I to show that same empathy when I see my community getting better, even under this horrible Trump administration and all the laws and all the horrible shit that's being passed? I see my community rising up, trying to move forward, trying to fight back. But then I don't see my black community doing the same thing. We sit up there waiting on a rapper to tell us what to do, or we're sitting up there waiting on somebody to tell us what to do instead of doing it. And it's hard for me as a black person and as a person of trans experience to wrap my mind around both issues, to be an advocate for both sides, because I don't feel like both sides are advocating for me. I wonder how you felt about this.
Well, I'm going to say this. Now, y'all might, some of these people might delete this. Hang on, telling y'all, I gotta get my throat together. All right, first of all, I'm gonna say this. As a man of color, I am not represented by any other group of individuals in the way that I should be well represented. My black community does not understand anything really about being transgender because a lot of them are stuck in what they've been conditioned by. So it's hard for my black community to even be willing. I mean, our black community is so hard-headed and stuck in where they've been conditioned that we don't even get advocacy for our LGBT as well. Okay, so for my thing is that to even try to get assistance or help or let them to understand, it's a lot of work for us. It's a lot of groundwork, and we're doing as much as we can. But there's only so, our community is only so big. We're not this grand whitewashed organization of people. But here's the thing. How can my community assist me in any way when I'm going to say this, and you all going to know this? We're fighting for Black Lives Matter every day. Okay? Mm-hmm. Fighting. And some of us have backed the Black Lives Matter campaign to our heart's content because of our melantone. Because of being black, we supported it. But don't y'all know, Black Lives Matter doesn't support us.
Hi, Jamie, babe. Hi, everybody. Please like and share. Go ahead, babe. Go ahead, Flex.
So for me, in my personal mind, Black Lives Matter doesn't support me. It wasn't really created for me. It was created for well-being of cisgendered men, and these people that started this organization, their brothers, their uncles, their children. I don't care what you tell me. Okay, it wasn't created for me as a trans woman.
100%.
It wasn't created for a trans woman. Okay, because if Black Lives Matter, they would be out there protesting for the death of the trans people that are out there dying today. That's all I got to say. If Black Lives Matter.
Most of the, especially when it comes to crime of trans women of color, I'm going to say 80% of from what I can see, this isn't no research data, you guys. This is just my personal life. 80% of the assailants are black cisgender men who are hiding some kind of secret. So then how then am I supposed to support the people that are killing me and my sisters and my brothers? How are then am I supposed to sit up there and say, this is fucked up, but this is just some truth, Flex. The other day they did a story of a guy who was shot by a cop, right? And the cop didn't kill him or whatever, so they think he's gonna be able to, take the case and sue and all this other stuff. But my first thought was, damn, that's one less, and I'm gonna say the N-word. I'm sorry, everybody. That's one less nigger out.
That's one less nigga on the road. Y'all the one nigga on the block
out there trying to kill me for no apparent reason. And it's sad that is now my mentality when it comes to these issues, because you all forced me to make a choice. You all say that because I'm trans, I can't be pro-black. And then for so long, the black community have put that upon my brothers and sisters and my brothers and sisters of gay and lesbian persuasion, that you can't be that and also be pro-black. Or you can't be that and be pro-Christian. Or you can't be that and be pro-family.
Thank you.
And one of the things that is coming to me in my life at this point in time is, I don't want it. I don't want it. Y'all can have it. Y'all cisgender black people out here being lost for the last however many, y'all think y'all...
They still lost, baby. They gonna still be lost. They still lost, Makayla. They still lost. They're gonna be lost another 20,000 years.
And the thing that I can't understand is, you have an example of people who are discriminated against the gay community, and you see how they have overcame, and it hasn't taken the gay community 400 years. There was never no need for somebody to tell gay people that they were equal to other people. Gay people, because gay people come and trans people come in all colors and all varieties. There's no, race of gay people. You know, gay people could be in any persuasion, or trans people, or whatever. The whole community, LGBT, the whole rainbow community, it could be anything. So because of that, a lot of us haven't grew up to know what it's like to be second-class citizens, or when they try to make us second-class citizens, we fight back that shit. But when it comes to us as black people, it's like crabs in a barrel. It's like once one black person gets up, we're all trying to bring them back down. If a trans person was to dare get a TV show over a cisgender person, you know, she got to be all kind of a man, or he has to be all kind of a girl, and he still have a pussy, or she still have a, like, it's hard as a melanated person of color who wants to be there for my community, who wants to sit there and enjoy the spoils of being a black person in America. You know, it's greatness to that. But also, as a person who's different, it's hard. I don't feel like I'm entitled to that same privilege. And that's something that I want to bring up, is that I feel like a lot of times with this whole Black Lives Matter and all these movements, they're only movements dedicated towards cisgender heterosexual men. I feel like everybody else in these Black Lives Matter movements and all these other movements, the same kind of energy, same kind of effort isn't brought upon us. If a black person kill another black person, there's no energy behind it. But let a cop kill or shoot or do something, then there's lots of energy behind it. People want to march, people want to protest, people want to do everything but the one thing that's needed to be done, which is to keep your money in your pockets. That's how you change things in America. You stop spending your bread. You stop spending your money. But that's that we as black people haven't understood, won't change, won't try to fix. Just, you know, it is what it is. And it's hard as as a person of trans experience to sit there and to sympathize with my black experience, because our black experience won't allow my trans experience to be happy and to be free.
You're right. You're right. And the thing about that is that, thank you, Jasmine, for sharing. Keep sharing, everybody. Keep sharing. The thing with this is that, I'm going to give you all a prime example. Before Black Lives Matter came about, I was part of NAACP. Now, y'all know I'm old school. I'm old. And in my 30s, I was part of NAACP. And being a part of NAACP, I was all excited for the black movement and doing things in my area. I was going to do some things. And then the president said to me, because I asked this question, if something was to happen to me, where would you all stand with me? Mm-hmm. He said, well, you're a man. I said, yes. He said, you have all the rights as a man because you're under NAACP. I said, okay. I said, but I'm a trans man. He said, what? You're gay? I said, no, I'm a trans man. I explained it to him. He said, well, either way, you all have your HRC and your Equality North Carolina and your Lambda laws that would protect you, because there's not much we can do for you.
That's fucked up.
So
that's fucked up.
That's fucked up. So that's why everything that is like I just proved it. He was cool and fine and dandy to give me the answer as a man of color, but he didn't know my story till I told him. And then when he turned around and pushed me aside like that, don't he know they don't represent me? They don't represent me.
They don't. They don't, and it's hard because I feel like we are being led down a rabbit hole of masculinity in our black community, that for some reason, there has been this disconnect that only black men have a heart in America and the black woman don't, or the black trans person don't, or the black gay person don't. And if you're not a black man, you can never understand what it's like to be black in America. And these are all things that I just would like to tell all the viewers that's on this show live right now. Those are lies.
Yeah.
Those are lies and untruths.
Right.
And if we even go one step further, the real reason why the black community hasn't been able to grow, hasn't been able to get the advances that other communities of disadvantage have gotten, is because the black man is not loyal to the black community. And that is something that we need to talk about ASAP. Because there's this meme going around on social media that is the black man the same as the white man. And when it comes to, you know, being bigoted and being, you know, discriminating, is the black man the exact same as the white man? And the answer is yes. If we look at it, the black man, due to every other subcategory of blackness,
subculture
of blackness,
culture.
The same way the white man treats the black man. When it comes to the LGBT community, the black man acts like he hates us. The black man acts like we're disgusting and we're beneath him, and we're beneath animals. But at nighttime, the black man wants to show his interest in us as trans women. Hell, some trans men, and definitely the gay boys, like the black man loves to creep with us at night. But in the daytime, when the lights are on, we're nasty, we're evil. And that's the exact same thing the white man does to us as black people. The black man is horrible, but yet at night he want to take the black woman's pussy and have her.
Well, you know, that goes back. But that goes back to, we're going to take it back to how they've been conditioned to do these things. Because, you know, when my grandma and grandpa back in the day, you know, they did their dirt at night, and in the daytime, yes, sir, massa. Yes, sir, massa. Okay? People are still doing yes, sir, massa. And the bad thing about it is, yes, sir, massa is not going to resolve the changes that we need to have done in our country. So, yes, sir, massa is continuing. And because we've been conditioned, and I'm going to say this, we have been, you all going to hate me. Some of y'all might hit me. Y'all might hurt me after I say this. But a lot of times, our heirs, our forefathers, our foreparents, because a lot of us are very open-minded now, they have been trained like puppies. The black race has been trained and conditioned to do whatever it needs to be done. And anything that's dangled to look like we're getting through it, we've been falsified and given false hope.
Exactly.
False hope. And they keep dangling hope in front of us and allowing, and I'm sorry if there's any church people here, but they allow if you ever notice this, I'm going to say this, a lot of times the churches run the black community.
Yes.
Just like Nat Turner did back in the day. He ran all those black people in Virginia and had them going across, killing everybody. First he ran them with, yes, listen to the master. He read out his little Bible, and then he came back and he killed everybody. Mm-hmm. So you have to understand that they train and condition us, and we've got to learn to become unconditioned.
What?
We've got to learn to become unconditioned.
And I think, and if we're going to go to being unconditioned, I think that's the message that Kanye West is trying to horribly put out there to the world. That we as a community, we have to understand that slavery never ended for us. Slavery just changed. Slavery changed.
Right.
They weren't whooping us. They weren't, doing all the physical torture. They can't physically do all the physical torture that they have been doing to us for years now. In most cases.
Right.
But what they do now is this psychological torture. And part of the psychological torture that they have given to us as black people is to not have no ownership over our lives, not have no ownership over our money, not have no ownership in this country, right. Period. We would rather go out and spend $500 on some red bottoms and a lace front instead of investing that into a business, into a home, into some land. We want to sit up here and drive Mercedes and shit. But if you ever notice, really rich people, they don't drive name brand cars. They don't wear name brand clothes. They shop at Target. They drive like fucking Kia Souls and shit. Why? Because they know at the end of the day, a car is a car. A piece of clothing is a piece of clothing. A shoe is a shoe. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if that shoe costs $5,000 or $50. It's going to do the exact same shit for you. Protect your feet from the ground.
Right. And they've learned to control us by weakening the man of color. That's the funny thing about it. They've weakened our black man community because of the way they imprisonment.
Mm-hmm.
They've allowed us to feel like we lean on the government. Some of us, they've gotten us they've gotten our younger people. They've gotten to the point where they said, okay, we can't get to the older people because older people are stronger than younger people. They've learned to do that generational, allow us. At one time they were making us infertile. Now they want us to be fertile so that we can stay stuck underneath the thumb of the government.
And even deeper than that, being stuck right in the gum. Let's not pretend like. See, one of the biggest issues that I feel like our communities, black people have, is that we believe that somehow, some way, a lie has been told that we are 50% of this country. Like, there's 50% black people, there's 50% white, well, like 40% black people, 40% white people, and 10% everything else. And the thing that we don't realize is that we are still a very small portion of this country. We don't even,
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think we're at like 30% of the country yet. I think we're still like in the 20s, like 25, somewhere between 25 and there's more Hispanic people in America than there are black people. Like, that's something that when I found out, that blew my mind, because I always thought that America was like 50-50, but there's still a great swath of this country that you can go and not see another melanated person, period, especially not another black person. So that's one of the things that we have to understand, that when people say they can give us land, there's enough land out there to give, to really give reparations to black people and to put us on an equal footing. But even if they did, I'm afraid that now our minds are so gone. All we're going to do is give it right back to them. All we're going to do is Mercedes sit down and...
Right. And I mean, you're talking about the percentage of people. I can tell you right now, I live in a condo complex. And in my condo complex, the majority are Latin Americans and Hispanics. The majority. The minority here, it is some, the white Caucasian persuasion community is a minority in America now. But the majority has been the Spanish individuals. And the thing with that is that, how can I explain it? The thing with that is that I really feel that we got comfortable, and our forefathers allowed us to be comfortable with whatever they gave us.
Yes.
We can't get comfortable, people.
Yeah.
You all got, it's like if you put condition in your hair and it doesn't work, you still got to rinse out the conditioner. Stop leaving condition in your hair, people. Rinse it out. It's time to change. As we evolve, this is 2018. As we evolve, you've got to prepare for change. We can no longer stay stuck. We can't do it. And our community, being black and transgender, we're really trying to move on up and do the changes we need to do for our own selves, because we know, I'm going to say it, as a man of color, I know, looking at my black cisgender community, men of color, a lot of them aren't moving up because a lot of them are now being placed in incarceration. Are killed.
And let's take that even one step further, Flats. I feel like we have raised right now a generation of black boys that are very privileged and entitled. They know that at the end of the day, somebody's going to be there for them. But we're raising a whole generation of black young women who don't have that same type of privilege. They have to be perfect. Mm-hmm. They have to not have a baby, or else there's some welfare queen. And if they put their baby daddy on child support, she's a horrible person for putting him on child support, even though she has to raise. Like, we have conditioned these girls to have no kind of retort, no kind of thought process without a man telling her what to do or telling her what to think. And because of that, our black women don't even understand how they're raising men. They're raising grown-ass little boys, because what they're doing to these men is they're not allowing the men to love any other woman but them. So every other woman, especially every other black woman, is a bitch, it's a hoe, it's a thought, it's this and this, that. And unless you look like Rihanna or Beyonce, them the only queens that they uplift. But everybody else is that black ass, bald headed bitch. And that's what we're doing to our own. We're not allowing these men, because the women, you know, fucked up and had a child by somebody who wasn't there for them or whatever, or who didn't. So then that son becomes her boyfriend. So now his only love for black women is for his mother. And if it's not his mother, no matter what she does, no other black women are respected or worthy of respect, or all other black women are
right.
hoes or thoughts or bitches to be fucked on and stuff. Like,
right.
And because of that, these boys, they have their ruthless. They have no empathy. They don't know how to love. They know how to dominate. They know how to take advantage of, because that's what a generation of our mothers have raised these boys to believe.
But not only that, but the generation of growth, you know, it used to be where mothers didn't have children until they were like 20s and 30s.
Exactly.
Now our children are having babies. Babies cannot teach babies. Babies are trying to survive and struggle. And parents are throwing their children out, you know, as soon as they have babies, you know. And next thing you know, our babies are sitting on government funding. And now everybody's running rampant. I mean, it's sad to say that, but it's happening. And when I look out and I see young people with young babies, which I mean, and I'm being honest with you. I am like the godfather in my complex. I am like the granddaddy. And I have made it clear to every child, and keep it up, I'll drag you home and beat you in front of your mother. That's something we did. A village, you know, they don't want a village. They don't want that. What they've taken from us is to have a village raise its children. And they've taken away hitting on a child, or they've taken away any kind of discipline. But honestly, we can work around that as a community, as black people. You can work around that as long as you work together. Not when you put your hand on my child, or well, you know, you trying to tell me what to do with my child. No, better yet, you wasn't around. You was at work or at JoJo's house. I don't know, but somebody saw what your child did and took steps for you. I do that every day in my complex. You know, the parents look at me and say, "Thank you, thank you," because I can't have my eyes everywhere. We got to go back and do what we used to do and fuck the government, basically.
The thing is with the government, I think so many of our sisters and brothers need to stop being so ashamed of being on government assistance. A lot of white people
yes.
government assistance their whole life. A lot of people collect food stamps their whole life. They do it in a different way. It may not be a part of like somehow, like farmers. Most farmers get great deal of amount of money in food stamps because they expect you, because you're growing the food, that you know you can go out and buy food that you need, and that's something that we
right.
Child support, all these other government assistance that a lot of people take advantage of. You know how many people have gotten their houses completely free because they paid zero down and zero in because they took advantage of a government program? Like, let's not make government programs to be such bad, because the thing is, they want you to get off that government program so they asses can get it. They want you not to get that money,
right?
So they asses can get it. So let's not ask government assistance.
Well, here's my whole thing with all of this. Y'all bear with me. I'm reconstructing myself so y'all can see what I look like. And some of y'all don't know what I look like. So I want you to see what I look like in real life. Here's the thing with a lot of, well, there goes that idea. That was a plan, but it didn't work out. We're going to work on this. So we're going to work on it like this again. So here's my thing. Here's my thing. I'm going to put it like this. I'm going back to the word condition. I'm going back to condition. Because if you really think about it, you know, they've allowed us to actually kill the morale system within the black community.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they've allowed. And they've allowed it by taking things from us that they knew they should have never gave to us. Because let's be real. They took religion out of school. And we was living all up in the religion thing. Then they took away care of your child more than anything.
Yes.
See, when you take the strength or the strength of the family out of the picture, you become lost. So when you begin to lose, you have a youth that's in a home and doesn't have the guidance that they need, they're lost. So that is the problem of being black. They have actually taken away our strength, which was our mother's strength, because most of the time the fathers they took away the strength of the father. They took our fathers away in so many ways.
And then I would say even nowadays, going back to the brainwashing, a lot of the times these fathers give it up now. Like, they don't have to take it away. These fathers don't even try. Like, especially with this new generation and this whole grandma complex of, I'm just going to grab the baby and give him to grandma and go out and live my best life. Like, that's the parent. That's horrible to your child. That's why the child has no respect.
But you give up. You know why okay, I'm a man of color, and I have families that are men of color, and they've been raised differently. But I look at some of their friends, and I sit around and hear them. The reason they give up is because society has pushed them to give up. You cannot be a successful black man in America. I don't care how many degrees you got. You cannot be a successful black man unless somebody wants you to be successful.
Amen. Amen.
But you can be, but you can be successful yourself. But it's going to take time for you to be that successful man by yourself. So that's where it comes back to. We as a group of people, of melon-toned individuals, I don't care if you're gay, cisgender, straight, whatever, transgender, queer, whatever, we still across the board have to support each other. I don't care what anyone says. We still have to support each other in a way that we can grow as a unit. Because if we're growing separately, we're not going anywhere.
Exactly.
Because if you think about it, successful gay men, there are a lot of successful gay men. Okay, I'm going to put it out there. Well, y'all don't like this person's name, but RuPaul is one successful gay man. Okay?
And the thing
successful gay men.
And the thing with RuPaul, he didn't get his success through our community. RuPaul said, fuck y'all black people. I see y'all not going to support me, so I'm going to get my money through another avenue. And people, when we do that as black people, they want to call it sellout.
We get beat up. We get beat up.
But if you're not,
but let me say this to you all. But let me say this to you all.
Sellout, you're not supporting me at all. I'm not a sellout.
Here's my thing. Okay, I've been told I'm a sellout. No, I have many Caucasians with persuasions with privilege watching this right now. I'm not a sellout. But whatever you got to offer, I'm taking it. I'm going to take what you got, and I'm going to share it with my community. Because, whatever you got, you gave away freely. So I'm giving it away freely in the direction I desire. So I say to many of you that are watching this, that are family, black individuals, if you can't get it in your community, get it from where you can get it from and bring it back. Many slave pioneers did the same thing. If you talk about Booker T. Washington.
That's the important part, that what we know.
Booker T. Washington. He got...
We take it and we go off and try to, I don't know, do what we got to do. We don't want to, when we get it, when us people,
we don't want to share it.
We don't want to share it because we feel like by us sharing it, that means I no longer have it. Because there's so many people out there struggling to have to divide this piece of the pie up so hard that I no longer will have nothing. And that's just not the case or the truth. If everybody who got even had a little bit of money would create a new business, just one business, open one restaurant, open up one salon,
beauty shop,
hair,
and support each other. Support each other.
And not just open up some bullshit, because that's the other half of this equation. For me as a black person, going back to the original conversation, I don't like to support black restaurants because I know going to a black restaurant person, not all black restaurants, everybody please. I'm not saying all black restaurants. I'm saying the majority
right.
of ones that I've been to are dirtier than other restaurants, are nastier. They have attitudes making your food. Like, I'm giving you money to make me food. Like, why are you having attitude with me? Like, they don't have shit. It's very hard to get forks and knives in a black restaurant. I'm telling you.
But you know what? I will say this. We have a black restaurant right here in my town. It's called, I'm going to plug out, it's Sweet Potatoes. It's owned by two lesbians, okay? Those girls have been very successful. And you know, most of their cooks and everybody that work in there, they're LGBT, transgender, and they're also black. They put back in their community because, you know what? Word of mouth came out about who they were, and they became very well supported. So sometimes people, you have to put it back. I mean, we have a nonprofit organization we put back in our community here as well. People think it's crazy. I'm like, no, it needs to be done. We as black people, I know we want to be successful. We want to show that we can have and do what we do, but we also have to bring it back home. We have to bring it back home. And in our black LGBT and QIA community, we need to be close knit more than ever. We need to stop being so separate, gay versus trans and trans versus gay. We need to work together, you know, instead of mocking or buffooning each other, work together. Because honestly, if you take the transgender, if you take the LGBTQIA out of the whole rim of blackness, we're still stuck by ourselves.
100%.
Because our black cisgender community favors us only if we can do their hair. Let's go back to what everybody says. If we can do their hair, we can dress them, wash their car, anything that's materialistic by appearance, we're good for them.
100%.
We're good for them.
Hey, Flex, can you read the comments? The comments not coming through on my thing.
Okay, hang on, y'all. I'm going to go get my laptop. Hang on for a second.
Hey, we're sorry, everybody, but yes, we're discussing what is it like being black and being trans, and how can you put those two pieces of you together? Because it seems like a lot of the time, and this doesn't go for everybody, this is my personal experience, this is Flet's personal experience, this is people in the comment section's personal experience. A lot of times we feel like that our black community doesn't support us in the same way or at all. And then when something happens in the black community, we then are expected without thought, without question, to support the community. We don't even realize how a lot of the times their agenda, the black agenda is a direct how can or because it just feels like as a trans person, my life is endangered by the black community. And then it's hard for me to be so team, Black Lives Matter, NCP, all that good stuff, when me supporting you is a threat to my life. It's a threat. And then when something happens to a trans person, it doesn't get talked about. You don't get marshes. You don't see people trying to solve crime. Anything becomes our fault. We shouldn't be trying to address the that we were born in that turn. So this is all different. Even happen. And I'm sorry if I'm
You're breaking up a little bit.
I'm sorry.
I thought it was my air conditioning. You're breaking up a little bit.
I'm sorry if I personally session. Facebook is tripping on my end, but
Okay, yeah. Can you all hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Can you folks hear me okay? Put me some thumbs up so we know that you all can hear me real well.
Okay, I see the thumbs up.
Okay, so let me see. Anybody have some comments here? Jamie, you're right. We have existed in every culture, especially in Africa, for many, many, many centuries. Transgender has. Alicia said, well, my struggle has been the community. I feel sometimes that we cisgender are classed along with the general struggle.
Say that one more time.
My struggle has been the community. I feel sometimes that we, the cisgendered individuals, are classed along with the general struggle.
And you know what? I can 100% agree with that. But where I'm coming from is, I feel like a lot of times when it comes to the organization Black Lives Matter, because they have been the most active Black organization of late, it seems like that they only march so crime against another Black cisgender male. When it's white officer versus a Black cisgender male, or somebody called the cops on the Black cisgender people at Starbucks, or this. But when the girls was with their Airbnb thing, you know, it got some attention, but it wasn't like it was with the Starbucks thing. People wasn't trying to protest Airbnb and all this other good stuff. It was just like, oh, okay, well, them women, you know, they'll be all right. But people still on this Starbucks thing, and Starbucks has done a lot, in my opinion, to try to make up for the situation, but we still are boycotting Starbucks. And my thing is, it seems just like if it's not a cisgender Black man, the Black community don't give a damn. Or even worse, it's our fault. With the whole Bill Cosby thing, it's all those women's fault that Bill Cosby drugged them and did his thing to them. It's every single one of their faults. They shouldn't have been in the room with him. They shouldn't have did this.
They shouldn't have never, look, they shouldn't have never went with him, period. That's their fault. But you see, they try to blame him for their fault.
Exactly. They shouldn't.
They blamed him for their fault.
She shouldn't have went
this was
read the script while his wife was upstairs not thinking nothing was going to happen. Like, when it comes to Black men, we, the community, find every way to forgive. It's Donald Trump's fault. It's the white man's fault.
Right.
But when it comes to us, and when I say us, I mean gay, trans, cisgender women, then it becomes our fault. We shouldn't have been there. We shouldn't have did that. We shouldn't have been there. Ah, man, if it was, I don't know if you remember the whole, the rapper Fabulous and his wife, Mama Emily thing.
Yeah.
It's her fault. She shouldn't have been doing this. She should have been working. She should have been doing this and that and the third. For him, knocking her teeth out, people are still supporting him because he's a Black man. And I feel like a lot of the times for our community, Black men can do whatever.
Right.
We're going to support them. Just like the white man can do whatever, and the white woman is going to support him. And
well, it's that world. It's that world of the man. Man is never wrong. Women are always wrong. You know, that's something that they do. But then let a man who's not a popular face or a popular name do something, and he's going to always be wrong.
Correct.
If a woman yells, if you and I were dating and we were in the same house and you knocked the living daylights out of me and I called the police department and said, you hit me, the first thing they'll say is, well, what did you do to her?
Exactly. Wow.
Had I been a white man and said you hit me, they would turn around and arrest you because right away you put your hands on me. But being a man of color, the first thing people have this idea that we're these big stallions or we're these big gorilla type men and we punch on people, we hurt on people, or we're good for sex. That's all we're good for. That's all they portrayed us as being. So we have to try to downsize that so many ways to break down that so people understand that we aren't that kind of image. But when you have too many of us in prison who have said, I didn't do it, and it's versus someone else's words, then it's no proof of, well, not all black men are that way. I mean, you know, there are some very, very respectful men of color out there. I have family that is very respectful, but they have to be careful. We talked about this on Mother's Day, how they are at the age of 50 and 60. They now have to be careful about what they do and what they say. Never been in jail. Working hard men, self-sufficient, business black men, but they have to be careful. It's not even the fact if they're a black man or a black woman in business. We as individuals have to be careful. But being black and trans, we have to be double deuce. We got to be double deuce careful. Because honestly, being black and trans, we're trying to make it the next step up, because we have to step over our cisgender community of black people, because we have to make it. Our cisgender black community is also holding us down by being very much negative towards us. And when I say cisgendered, that's including gay men, because they're cisgendered, lesbian, because they're cisgendered. Some of y'all may not like me after this, but some of our LGBT, not the T, LGBT is very much not on the same wavelength that we are as black individuals.
Exactly. That goes back.
They are privileged and they are so privileged they don't even realize it.
That goes back to.
So being black and transgender is not a privilege for me. It's not a joy, but it's where I am in my life. Yes, I chose this life because it was either this or death. I was not going to commit suicide anymore to live at peace for myself, to be where I need to be for myself. And now that I live this life, I go forward as an individual to be a better person than the next guy. But I still have to walk on eggshells and make sure I don't drive at night in the South and get stopped by the police for nothing stupid.
And a lot of times, our black community don't understand that, yeah, we have to jump over you to get where we want. Like, yes, a lot of times I hear a lot of cisgender, both gay and straight people always say, why do y'all feel like y'all trans people deserve to get this and this and this, and we've had to fight for this long to get this? That's not my fault. That's not my fault that you want to be like Moses and the children of Israel, and instead of just taking a direct path, y'all want to be lost in the deserts for thousands of years. That's not my fault. Like, it's not my fault that as a trans person, there's enough white trans. Yes, it's a part of privilege, and I'm going to take advantage of it. Because trans isn't a racial aspect, it's, you know, everybody, black, white, Asian, Japanese, Chinese, Korean, Australian, you know, anybody can be trans. Because of that, there's a lot of white trans people in our movement. And because of their work and their privilege, they're able to offer me a better life. Am I supposed to reject that because y'all black folks don't want to get on? Hell no.
Right. If there's a lot of white people in my corner and they want to cheer me on and support me, I'll take that support, because I feel like this. I'm an example of who I am. My darkness shows that I can go forward for those that are looking up to me to go forward with their darkness as well. Someone made a comment, and this is what they said. Question: when cops show up, is the point brought up that y'all are trans? Assess this. I want to know. I was trying to understand. So let me explain this to your question, Alicia. You can bring up that you're trans, but it depends on that cop, how he's going to handle you. Some cops don't care because of our melon tone.
Exactly. Well, I've come to find out, Ashley, Alicia, is I tell cops that I'm trans, and I let them know.
I do too.
I let them know that I'm a part of the trans community. Because once I do that, once I take it off of my race and let them know that, oh, okay, because, you know, in America, the white man is scared of the gay power. The white man is scared of the GLAAD movement, and they know to respect you in that umbrella if you're open with it, because they know the power that the gays have. They know the power that the trans community have when we organize.
Right.
Look at the whole bathroom bill. And I think it was North Carolina. It may have been South Carolina. No, it was North Carolina. The bathroom thing. That was South Carolina, right?
That's North Carolina and everywhere in the South.
Okay. The whole bathroom thing. They passed the law, right? Guess what happened? The gays stopped coming to the whole state. The gays stopped coming to the whole state. The gays took their dollars away. When they took their dollars away, the NCAA had to rethink. The NBA had to take away games or something from the state or whatever. Why? Because
right. So what? Yeah, it affected us economically. So when you start losing your money, you got to think about what you're doing. Now, when you talk about the police department, Alicia, I actually do tell the police I am a trans man and let them know that ahead of time, because I want them to know you're dealing with a different issue right now. Because legally, I have legal rights in my state, and people say, no, you don't. Yes, I do. Because if you treat me in the worst way, oh, I got a retainer. I have an attorney on retainer that I can call, make the first call, and if I don't get to him, my family is going to get to him. And I believe you, I have been to jail for a ticket. And I told them that I was trans, and they actually treated me more respectful than they would have treated me being a little short black man.
100%.
They were like, okay. I said, hold on. I said, I'm trans man. Is there any? And I'm very cordial. And they found out by my demeanor, it was not threatening. Many men of color can be very offsetish. They can be very threatening. And honestly, anybody, y'all think I'm kidding? Anybody that's 5'6" and over that's a black man, you are a threat to white society. You're a threat to the police department. And I've been told that by someone who is a police officer, black and white, who works for the police department. If you're 5'6" and over, you are a threat to us, because a black man is like a big ass stallion. Mm-hmm. When a black man has energy in him, he can almost push a whole building down if he wanted to, just hypothetically speaking. But I'm just saying that when I said I was a trans man, I hate to say that, that I, being a trans man, I hate to say this, but they looked at it like, okay, so this is not a real guy. So this was a girl. So how much of a threat is this going to be? That's how they looked at it. That's how they looked at it. With a trans woman, they tend to look, depending on what the trans woman is wearing, how she's acting, how she's reacting. If she's acting like a lady and taking care of her business, they will treat her respectful as a woman. Now, she comes across as a street trans girl, or not street girl, as a hood girl, like some of the cisgender girls do, or they're going to treat her just as raunchy and rough as anything else. So it's how we handle the police department ourselves, how we handle the police and how we speak to them. If we act rowdy and rambunctious and all that, then they're going to treat us rudely as well. They're going to do it as well.
And I also feel like for the trans women out there, because for me, I'm not an escort, I'm not a prostitute. So the only ever times I ever really have interaction with the cops is if they pull me over. And I just find out if you're just like, okay, you know what, I'm trans, my ID say this, but this is what's going on. It's almost like a breath of fresh, depending on the cops. I'm sure, like, it's not going to be like that for everybody, but I'm saying for me, it's like a breath of fresh air. Oh, okay, and then breathe, and then we could, handle and help. And then a lot of times, if the cops, secretly be trans attracted or whatever, or they'll deal with a
right.
And so then they want to hit on you. So then, like, as a trans woman, you can flirt and get out on tickets and shit. So.
Well, I will say this, that, that we as transgender individuals.
When it comes to the police department, they're going to treat. And again, this isn't for the racist cops that you come against. This isn't for the cops that as soon as they pull you over, everybody gets that, there's no talking to those people. I'm just talking about for the everyday average cops. In my life, what happens when I tell them I'm trans, it kind of diffuses the situation. Whatever situation.
Right. And see, I've worked with our there's 3 counties that I work with the police department, and have worked with them and talked to them about, empathy within the community, for our community. So, it depends on if you've worked with them, they know you. Not everybody knows the cops. Cops don't know everyone, but I'll be honest with you, get you one good cop friend that you're friends with, And I promise anybody out there, get you a few cops that you can giggle with, drink a beer with, have a good time with. They will, if you get stopped or get harassed, you can tell them, well, look, you need to talk to officer so and so. And if he's a chief, where's Chief so and so? Because they're gonna know you know Chief so and so, my friend. Would you please call him right now because I need him to come down here and talk to you.
MJ just said that in her case, she finds that the police become more aggressive when she disclosed that she's trans. For me, I have never. I'm really trying to think hard. Have I ever had a police officer become more aggressive when I disclosed that I'm trans? I don't know. No, I guess I've been very blessed that when I tell people that I'm trans,
right,
it's just automatically oh, okay, well, let's handle this in a different situation, because for me, when the cops think I'm just regular cisgender and a female, they get this, I'm going to be this loud, aggressive baby mama type of chick, like.
Right.
And then I never had a situation where they just looked at, for me, it's more like confusion when they see my ID because I haven't had my information changed yet.
Gender marker change.
So when they see my ID and they look at me, it's just, it always is just like good 5 minutes worth of confusion. So if I just tell them that, that confusion goes away a lot. For me, I can't say, I don't know anybody else like. Maybe it's just in Florida too, because in Florida,
I just think it's probably how you speak. It's probably how you speak, how you handle it, your mannerisms. I know that when I was transitioning with my name change and gender change, I made sure to let them know ahead of time that so what I did for a long time is I carried a copy of my name change and to let them know that I've had a legal name change and I'm transgendering. And I had actually educated, when I got stopped with the ticket, I was educating the policemen in the back of the car, and they were asking me all kinds of questions. And I said, well, this, and they got to talking. And then they said, well, we need to learn more about this. So I got to know who was the sheriff department and all that. And they started doing a training, and I came in and talked to them and asked questions. And I had several other trans folk with me, that were there to be willing to disclose who they were and work with them. And then honestly, they're like this. I hate to say this. When it comes to a lot of our white police officers in my area that I've worked with, they tend to work with us. In my area, there's some areas that, they don't work with anybody. They don't care. They just don't care. But a lot of times we, as Black transgender individuals, we need to know the law, because when we do something, you need to know if you're breaking that law. Exactly. Because 10 to 1, if they're going to come at you for something, they know the law better than you think you know the law. You really need to know your laws, your district, your county laws, because there's always red tape. There's always a loophole.
And my advice is, if you travel a lot as a trans person and your gender markers aren't, where you want them to be, to do the research on the places that you go. Because there are just some places in America that I will not go. I'm not going to Alabama for no reason. I'm not stopping in Mississippi and just chilling for a couple of,
So we ain't going there. We definitely ain't going there.
I will only go to Louisiana, to New Orleans. Outside of New Orleans, I'm not trying to visit that state whatsoever. Florida. Outside of freaking Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Orlando, Tampa, Jacksonville, and Tallahassee, I ain't trying to be too fucked up in Florida like I'm not.
So being Black and trans, we have to be cautious as well. And that's the thing, is we don't have the freedom that cisgender do, because if we do, we have to be very careful. We have to be very careful. I'm trying to read that. Lauren said that she, let me see, I'm scrolling down. Hang on for a second. She had the police called for a domestic dispute. And again, once my information was taken, the misgendering began. They even called an extra unit with a canine because the threat was now male. So, okay. So here's my thing. I I don't know the situation. I don't, I wasn't there. But I'm going to be honest with you all, and I'm going to say this. Cis folk are forever going to misgender us, and I know we hate it, we don't like it, but they're going to misgender us, and I'm going to tell you why, and you all might hate me after I say this. If your documentation, no matter what you look like at face value, legally, they can be sued for misrepresenting your gender, which is not right on your paperwork. Did y'all know that? In your southern states, that's why we have a problem. That's why when someone's misgendering you, people say, well, it's wrong, Flex. Let me tell you something. If your paperwork does not say male or female, they're calling you by what is on your paperwork. And just like if you die today or tomorrow, and I'm going to tell you all this too, this is something for you to understand being Black and transgender. If you die today or tomorrow, okay, the mortician cannot change your gender marker on your paperwork. They have to put on what legally governmental, what your social, if your social security number is your social security number, and if you never change your marker on your social security number, it'll always be male or female, however you were born, until you change that information. I'm sorry. So Austin, you say they misgender you once they, so Ashton said that once his documents say male, and as soon as they find out he's trans, they misgender you. I think a lot of it is training these individuals, and I think a lot of it is we have to come forward to willing to train them. And also, I think we need to really, like I said, I don't have that problem in my 3 counties that I work with. They don't misgender us. They're very, very, very accommodating. And I just think it's wherever you all are located. I know it's hard to get these people trained, but we need to work on that in our community as being Black and trans. We need to step forward and put these actions in place. I think that's what we need to do. And we need to force that upon our own cisgendered community, being gay or being lesbian community or bi community. We need to try to force them to work with us as well, because a lot of them, they have avenues to get into these organizations to work with and to get this done. So we're going to have to recreate the wheel and educate our own Black transgender, our Black cisgendered individuals, being gay or being lesbian, being bi or straight. We need to educate them and work with them. I just happen to be lucky because a lot of my family members are in the civil protection services of fire department, police department, sheriff department, here between here and DC and New Jersey. So I'm willing to educate them, and they're educating their co-workers and HR department. So I just happen to be kind of well-rounded with enough people behind me. But we have to educate the cisgender Black community at best. We really have to put it out there. And I hate to say this, sometimes you can bypass the church, go to the pool hall, go to the barbershop. Yes, I don't like outing myself, and I don't tell, if you're stealth, you're stealth. If you need me to go in and educate somebody, I'll go do it for you. I'll be that friend that you know that's trans. I'm one of your homeboys you did not know you was. I'll keep you so stealth that you didn't know I was trans. If you need me to educate someone, I'll come and educate them for you. I'll be that guy you didn't know at all, and then you found out yesterday after being in the locker room and changing clothes and whatnot. You can lie and say, I didn't know that fool was trans at all. You can lie your transition through it, but I'll keep mine alive for you so that you have the freedom to live in comfort, because that's what we have to do, is learn to live in comfort. Okay, Ashley, you're in Eastern North Carolina. It's kind of funny because I'm in North Carolina, and I think I lost Makayla, so we're going to bring her back. But the one thing about this is that I will say this, Austin, I worked for a company in your town as a transman, and we had a contract up here in the western side of North Carolina, and we're going to bring her back. So, yeah, we've got to learn to work together if we can do that. And for those that are stealth, there are others like myself that are out there that are willing to educate, willing to work with her. Yeah, you're breaking up real bad, but it's okay. We're going to get you on your right. But we have to really, and I'm going to say this, we have to become to the point where we are making our cisgender community around us, those that support us and around us, very much more accountable so that we can start to change the way things are going for our own community as a whole.
A lot of us have to get over this stealth life thing. If we want to evolve as a trans, we have to get over this stealth living thing. Like, that's not the answer. That's not going to move our community forward. Everybody is going to be stealth, because how are people supposed to know that we're around? That was one of the biggest issues. I know my reception was breaking in and out, but when you were saying this earlier, it really touched something in me, and I had to speak on it, that we have to educate each other, trans people, on the lingo, on the terms, on what it is. Like, we have to understand that the cops can only do so much with the people that they know, right? So if you have cops, right, and they're used to their only interactions really with trans people is when they're taking them to jail on escort charges, or on when they're stopping them from turning tricks, right? A lot of those girls will be quick to say, "Oh, whatever, motherfucker, I'm really a man anyways, I'll beat your ass." Like, a lot of those girls really beautiful with breasts and long hair, and they'll be like, "I'm a man anyways and I'll beat your ass." So then how can we expect cis people
to be respected? How can we get respected? We need to be respected if you're going to cut up and act up and talk about yourself being a man, when yesterday you said, "I'm all woman. I'm all that woman that you're going to find." Well, be that woman that I want to find. Stop being a boy in a dress.
And that is one of these things that's on us. That's not cis. I don't blame the cis world for the misgendering. That's on us. We are the ones, I think I said this on your show before, Flex, who will have a cisgender gay man and call him our daughter. And be like, "That's my daughter. That's my daughter." So then when cisgender people who don't know nothing about the ballroom scenes or gay family, they hear you call this man your daughter, what then do they expect? Like, if we calling each other, if we calling the ones that, be it trans or not, we call the ones that we like our daughters and girls and this and that. But the ones we don't like, and they can be trans, and we calling them bricks and him. And that's not, how are cisgender, how is the cisgender world supposed to even understand if we are doing this to each other? This is not something that cisgender people, I never heard a cisgender person call another trans woman a brick. They may not say she's not, she may look like a man, ugly or something, but being called a brick, that's our mouth. That's something that we created to describe.
The tongue will kill you. The tongue will kill your community. It will kill you. It will kill everything you work for. Your tongue is the thing you got to hold. We can't keep throwing that tongue out there, because the tongue is what will cut you short. And that is the one thing that we need to stress to our own siblings in our community, our black transgender siblings, because they are siblings. Brother, sister, how you want to pronounce it? Non-binary, binary, siblings, okay? But my thing is, we need to stress it that, okay, if you are the woman you say you are, stop putting yourself out there to be a boy. Because I'm going to be honest with you. When I turn around and I make this comment, and the girls hate when I say this, when you were at one time male-bodied, some of the things you carry as male-bodied, you carried it as the woman you are tonight. today. Same thing with trans men. When we were female bodied, some of us are still carrying over what we did then. So I'm not saying you're less woman than what you were. We all going to have characteristics from yesterday to today. You didn't evolve and be a girl overnight. You didn't wake up, oh, I'm 5 years old and I'm putting a dress on. I'm all girl today. No, you did not. You went through some changes to be the woman you are today. You evolved like I evolved being the man I am today. I will never refuse my past because my past has made me a better man than some men out there. That's all I got to say.
And we have to educate each other because the biggest part for me in the trans community in 2018, and I'm a 36, about to be 37-year-old trans woman, that we self-sabotage a lot in our community. We want everybody to respect our transition, but then we don't respect other transitions or how they got to be and where they're at in life. We want everybody else to do right and to stop doing this, but we don't stop doing it. We want to tell other people what to do, but then we aren't the vehicles, we aren't the vessels, we aren't the examples of what the better way is. We want to tell the better way, but we don't want to live the better way because for a lot of us, it's indoctrinated. It's just like the whole thing we was talking about earlier in the live about Black people being indoctrinated to hate what they don't understand. Right. And a lot of times we don't understand it. We don't like I didn't understand what a trans person was until I was damn near in my 30s.
Right.
I didn't have no word for what transsexual or transgender or transitioning and all this other good stuff. I was just that girl. I just was the girl among the gay boys. I just knew I didn't like going to the gay clubs and I liked to wear hair and I wanted to be on hormones and all this other stuff. Like, we have to do a better job at understanding where people are coming from. Sometimes that person doesn't mean to necessarily misgender you. That's just where their knowledge or their education is at that moment in time.
Right, and see, let me say this. You know, I have to admit this, and I've said this for the past 2 months now. It took some time for me to adjust to the word non-binary and the pronouns used in non-binary community. So it took time for me to adjust to that, just like it's going to take others time to adjust to the pronouns of the transgender community. It's not easy for people to just flip over in the middle of the night and say, okay, I got it, because what they knew of you or knew of your past or how they've been conditioned to see of you as a person, it takes time for them to do that. People, let me tell you, my mother to this day is my mother. It took my brother 14 years to say he. And during dinner now, listen, I got 2 cousins that have been calling me he from the day I was he. And my brother, it took 14 years. And yesterday he made a comment sitting in the presence of my mother at her home now. He wouldn't have done this years ago, but he did it. He said, well, what he's saying, Mom, is what he said. What he is saying, Mom, speaking about me. It took him 14 years to get that pronoun. And some people just aren't comfortable. I have high school people that tell me, I will never call you that name. I only know you by this name. I can't do that. So, yes, we have to disengage from dealing with those people because if it's traumatic or it's just too much for you to deal with, you just say fuck it and keep it moving. I have let go of a lot of people in my past that refused to go along with the transition with me. But it's okay because as they're learning now to use pronouns. They're now coming back in my life saying, I apologize. And some don't apologize, but I know their apologies when they say, well, how you doing, dude? When they could have said, what's up, girl? Mm-hmm. So a lot of it is lessons, it's learning. If people are not conditioned to use pronouns in a certain aspect, they're not going to use it every day the same way. If they're not dealing with trans folk every day, especially the Black community, if they're not dealing with trans people every day, they're not going to use that in their language every day. If you say what's up 20 times a day, that's something that you just kind of acclimated into your vocabulary every day. And that's one thing about the black community. If it's a lingo that they don't use on a regular, they're not going to use it on a regular. Look at the gay and lesbians. To this day, gay men and lesbians, they still misgender us. They disrespect us.
And they should know
Every
because
day.
they've walked the journey with us. But the thing is, I've come to, again, this is me, everybody. This is my personal beliefs, you know, that it starts from us. The misgendering,
Right.
the education, the learning, it starts from us. They only are doing things that we do to each other. They're only mirroring behaviors that we implement towards each other. Like, you could be the most prettiest. T.S. Madison is a great example of how a lot of people in the community do not call that woman a woman. They call that woman a man. They call that. And T.S. Madison will get on her lives herself and call herself a damn man. So then how, if T.S. Madison is the example of a beautiful trans woman, big titties, ass, all this other good stuff done, names change, getting paychecks under Madison, but still calling herself, I'm still a MEER. When somebody makes you mad and you want to put that big shawam at them, you hit them with the, don't get it fucked up, nigga, I'm still a MEER.
Yeah, then they're going to be like, well, you are a man.
Exactly. And when you do that, ladies and fellas, you are bringing nothing but confusion. There's no way that I can then sit there and, I mean, I don't even go into a system of people about misgender anymore because they have too many examples of, well, this one says she's a man, well, this one says she's a man, well, this one says she's a man, well, this one says he's a woman. Well, how am I then supposed to, and then you know what the truth is? Yeah, you're right. I can't. Respect me. That's where I'm at now. Respect me and my wishes. But as far as everybody else and what they want, hey, who am I? Who am I?
You're right. And that's the thing is that, you know, we have got to we have to recondition our own community in a way that lets them understand that if you can change your vocabulary around others, others will change as well. But if you keep doing what you're doing, the disrespect continues. I want to answer a question. Somebody was asking, where are there friendly areas in my area? A lot of times you could find trans friendly areas, safe area. I call it safe places. You have LGBT centers, you have organizations that are online. If you go on Facebook and some groups, they will give you that information as well. Here in our North Carolina area, Ashton has something going on in Eastern North Carolina, Western North Carolina, Asheville, North Carolina. I'm in the middle, which is Winston. We have a LGBT center. Charlotte has an LGBT center. Greensboro just got an LGBT center, and Raleigh Durham has an LGBT center. So hit me up later if you all need that information out of North Carolina. Other states have either ways of connecting with people. I know in New York, Manhattan, they have that big LGBT center there. It's just connecting with people.
In a lot of places, there is no, like, it's sad. You can live in a big, like, I live in Tampa. And Tampa is not a small city.
No.
But there's not really much of a trans community. There's a gay community, but then there's not much of a trans community, which could be hard because that goes into the confusion because if there's no safe spaces dedicated for trans people, a lot of the times they end up, and this is why I was confused for a long time. You end up going to gay places because, you know, that feels kind of safe and feels kind of close to where you want to go. And a lot of times, a lot of people get stuck in the gay places. They can't, you know, let go of they can't separate being trans and being gay. So a lot of the times, this is why a lot of the girls sit up there and call themselves men because you're conditioned by all your gay friends that are feminine and is having trade, or especially like I'm discovering with the trans man versus studs, like that's another hard one because with trans men, if you're not really on hormones and stuff like that, you can still be kind of feminine in your masculinity, like appearance wise. Just like with trans women, you know, if you're not on hormones and stuff, you can still be very, very masculine. But for a lot, because a lot of cis women, they don't have that stigma of have to be this, I have to be this. You know, a lot of girls are just gender fluid, so they just, you know, and if you like a masculine female, it's very hard for trans men to date because I'm coming to understand that females put y'all all in the same category, and a lot of y'all really are trying to own your own trans men, own your own identities back from a lot of the studs that don't transition and should, and don't claim transness, even though, you know, they have a full ass beard.
See, that's a topic that's happening tomorrow during the blog talk. Who are we ignoring in the LGBT community? And that is basically trans men is we're ignoring. You all, that's a topic. We're doing trans men topics this weekend. I'm just going to say that real quick. And on Thursday, it is the invisible man. We're talking about the trans men because we are invisible and we are comfortable where we are in our transition, but we don't identify as female body individuals. So when people mush us up with studs in the black community, I'm like, wait a minute, you got the wrong one. I'm not that person. I think the problem with the black community, I'm gonna break this down. My mother said it to me years ago. The thing with the black community is if you're gay or lesbian, that's the first step to queerness. And if you become transgendered, that's the third step to your queerness. It is expected that if you're a gay man that's very feminine, you're going to wear dresses and be like a woman, and then you're going to have a sex change. That's the idea that cisgender people have of us. And then if you're a lesbian, you're wearing boys' pants, you're going to turn around and become a man or try to be more man. When realistically, that's falsified myth. That's untruth. Because like I tell everybody, before I became the man I am today, I was married to three men, slept with men all my life. I was a straight woman. I didn't know what lesbianism was. I knew how to have sex with women, but I was never a lesbian. I came from the straight world. So no, I was never homosexual. I loved women. I had sex with women, but I was never homosexual. I never identified as lesbian because I was still doing my thing strictly dickly. No lie.
I remember being like 16, right? And you know, at 16, I was identifying as gay. So at 16, I had this one little friend girl. She was a cisgender woman. You know, she was the only person who even knew anything about my sexuality back then. So then she was like something. I guess asking me to try to hook me up with another gay person. I'm like, I'm not gay. I just remember saying that like, ew, I'm not gay. I like men like you like. Like I don't like, and that's something that I've come to realize that was what made me different because gay men like other gay men, and I feel like a lot of people. I feel like honestly, there's more trans people in this world than they are gay or lesbian people. It's just people haven't come to that conclusion yet.
And a lot of it, they don't come to it because they know the stigma that we deal with from cisgender community, the black community as a whole, and it's hard for us to be comfortable within our transition. With you know, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to break it down. When you're dealing with white cisgender privileged individuals, I see more support from their community towards their young transgendered individuals and their transgender community. But when it comes to our black community, we lack the support even from our parents, our grandparents, and whoever else. Yes, I blame the church. I'm going to say it like that. I blame the church. You know, my mother's quick to give the money to the church, and she's quick to give me the money. I'm going to say it like that. So we deal with that, and we, like I said, we have got to learn to fight the stigma, break it down the barriers, and also, like Jamie said, invisible bondage, so true. We've got to get rid of that invisible bondage. And we have to, like you said earlier, Makayla, we have to, as the women, if you identify as women, don't drop the voice. Don't speak about, I'm more man than you are and beat your ass. I don't want to hear that. But you're a woman. You're a woman. And be the woman you need to be. Because if you don't, you're confusing even those that you want to even those you're trying to educate, You won't educate them. You won't let them know or see you for who you really are.
100%. 150%.
And then
150%.
with my trans brothers out there, they're doing real well about, not talking about I was a girl or whatever, whatever. But
But
here's the thing. My
you
brothers
guys
don't
like
my
to live
brothers
in
don't need to be
stealthness.
over.
Trans men like to live in stealthness. Like, I thought trans women like to be stealth. Oh, nah. Trans men, once y'all
Well, since we're on this topic of black and transgender in America right now, let me explain a little bit to you. You ready? As we evolve, Makayla, as we evolve, our transition evolves with us. We didn't ask to live within the binary. It's just what the testosterone does. It creates the facial hair. It created I started shaving and I stayed shaved, okay? It created this face that never looked like this, created the muscles that are on the body. That's what testosterone does. So I have evolved to be the man that I am. Now, if they said I didn't have to have a beard and mustache, I wouldn't take the tea. You know what I'm saying? But it's what binary is. So I live within my binary because I'm comfortable with my binary. It may not be for everyone to live within the binary, but being the man I am, a lot of us that are comfortable with our transition being the men that we are and evolved to be, a lot of times those jobs that we got at $7 an hour, we now got those $20 an hour jobs. We are now privileged men in society because we're getting checks and we're educated to get those checks. Many of us have made our own employment or our own businesses and we're making money or doing something for the community. We're gaining something from what we're doing or what we've done. Okay? We've placed that education at a level. So now we have come to a level. Who would want to eat crumbs for another 50 years when you ate crumbs for 25? So as we
I think that's
created ourselves and created our opportunities, we do not want to lose those opportunities. And a lot of us that are in the southern states, we have a hire and fire at will states all across the board down the way. Okay? You can hire and fire me whatever you want. You don't have to tell me why. So we keep it quiet, we keep it moving slowly, and we keep those jobs. Some of us end up marrying. Yes, we end up marrying. We marry men, we marry women, we marry trans women. We are the breadwinner. To this day, I can tell you my income being on disability, SSI and disability, to this day, I could take care of a trans woman in the home with me and send her back to school. I could do that. Okay? So here's the thing. If I'm dating a woman, because I deal with women, I like feminine energy. If I'm dealing with a woman that's cisgendered or transgendered, she can evolve and grow as well. I am her man. I would be her benefit to growth. But as a man in society, my income is a little better. My disability was better than I thought it was going to be. So a lot of things have evolved for me being the man I am in society. So as a man, why would I want to eat crumbs for another? Look, I'm 56. Do you think I want to eat crumbs for another 56 years?
And I think with trans women, we give up the privilege. And that's where people don't understand with us, that we give up that male privilege. We don't want it. That's the last thing that we want. Like, and people can't understand, why would you want to give, like, be feminine, do all this, but why would you want to give up being a man? Like, being a woman sucks. This is I think that's a big part of our struggle, that people can't understand why we want to give up the privilege in the first place.
But you give up the privilege because you need to live as you need to live to be happy and be at peace with yourself. I give a lot of us as trans men that are men of color, we have to struggle and make it because our white constituent individuals with privilege, white folk friends, are not there to help us. Once we transition, they're beside us maybe the first day, and next they go their way, and we're left alone. So we're standing alone and being extending ourselves to one another as brothers because that's who we are to each other, brothers. So we extend ourselves to try to help each other because we know no one else is going to help us. Sometimes our families aren't there, our cisgender community is not there. So with that being said, that's why we become stealth. Why should I lose what I've gained? And I work to have because somebody can let me go today or tomorrow.
That's true.
And the funny thing is this: is I work for a company. They didn't know I was trans. They didn't know I was trans until I left the company because I left the job for medical reasons, and I told my supervisor, and she looked at me and said, "Are you lying?" And I said, "No." She said, "But," I said, "Don't say that. Don't say the words I think you're gonna say." I said, "This is my life. You would have never known if I had never told you."
Mm-hmm.
And she looked at me and she said, "Nope, I would have never known to this day." So our selfness is because we have reached a plateau and we're reaching more each day. And some of us aren't stealth. Some of us that are visible is because we're able to be visible for those that cannot be visible. So when I'm visible and shouting off the rooftops, it's not because I want attention. I'm doing it for the brothers that aren't able to do that. I'm opening the doors and the avenues for them. And I just hope that my trans sisters will get to that same level of being that plateau for the sisters that are climbing as well. Because we have each other. The sisters and brothers have each other. But we have got to recondition the cisgender community together to recreate what they need to understand, not appropriate.
100%. And to also understand that we are you. We are the same as you. I'm still your sibling. I'm still the same person that you knew your whole life. I still need help just because it may make you uncomfortable. Like, the thing is with a lot of heterosexual cisgender people or cis normal people, however you want to put it, is that you have to understand that I'm still human. I'm still a person. I still bleed. I still have feelings. I still need to eat. I still want to get my hair done and my nails done. I still love Beyonce. I still love Rihanna. I still love Whitney Houston. I still love Janet Jackson. Like, these things have not changed. I'm still a human being, and there are basic necessities of life that I need beyond financialness. I need to be happy. I would like to be in a relationship. I would like to be happy. I would like to have a family. These things do not change because my gender is changed or my identity is changed or how you view me.
Right.
Your expectations of me need to change, not me. It's not me.
Right.
Like, you have to get over your expectations you have of my life and let it go and let me hold the reins of my life. Be there to support. If you can sit there and support your damn cousin who murdered 3 people in a drive-by shooting, and you go and put money in his book every day on week, and
right. Why not support me?
Why can't you support?
Why not support me?
What am I doing that's so bad? That's so wrong? And that's one of these things that I don't think. We're people too. We're still people at the end of the day. We're different type of people, but everybody is a different person than you.
You're right. Because I always ask that question with my family. You all know I'm going through struggles. I'm trying to make it. Everybody's got a brand new car, and I'm still driving my Fred Sanford truck. But you all got this and you got that. But I don't have that. Can you all, at least support my GoFundMe? And maybe 1 or 2 support it. Okay, fine. But you still don't support me. And I think now, after seeing me evolve, they're beginning to realize, okay, there's more to this than just a facial change or growing facial hair or whatever. It takes time to, I hate to say this, we sometimes have to go back to where we came from and educate those that we have touched our lives and touched their lives with who we are. It's hard. It's hard to educate them because they've been conditioned, and they've been conditioned with the church. They've been conditioned with rituals and traditions, and it's hard to condition them. But they need to understand that who we are is more than just what we are. We're not a what. We're not a thing. We're not an it. We're who we are. We're human beings. So we need to go back as a community and extend ourselves to the cisgender community. And I will say this, we talked about this the other day, me and somebody. There is the Black Trans Advocacy Weekend. I'm not just putting a plug in. But they open their doors for people to come in and share that with more than just one trans person. And that's an avenue, too, if you want to go to Texas. And then there's events that happen here in North Carolina. We have Trans Pride that happens in Charlotte, North Carolina. And that's something where you could come in and you could interact. It's not just for us, it's for everyone. It's done by us, it's activated by us, it's put on by us. We want the event for us, but we also want to give the awareness for you. So if there's an event, and I'm saying to anybody that says gender, that you're sharing this with your family, there's an event in your area, state, or whatever, and it's a support group or it's some kind of group that's open to those to come in, go. Don't stop, go. If
And
you're LGBT, we welcome you to our support
flex,
group to
flex,
do some
please.
stuff. Yeah, yeah.
One of the things that we have to understand is that we have to understand the avenues that we allow people into our lives. We have to understand the lenses that we allow people to view us in. And a lot of the times with us, and I'm guilty as fuck of this, and I'm realizing this, that I'm guilty as fuck of this. The only avenue I really let people know about me is if I'm dating somebody or not. And other than that, stay out of my business. Go over there and do y'all thing. I don't want you to come hang out with me. I don't want you to come. You're going to ruin. You're going to fuck it up. You're going to accidentally call me by my the name that I was given at birth, and I don't want to hear all that. Like, we sometimes isolate ourselves where people really do not have a clue in fuck. What do you do? What do you do for happy? What do you do for fun? What makes you happy? Like, we have to get over our own personal shame, our own personal disappointment, our own. Sometimes, what we don't want to say is every time we look into our mother's eyes and she look at us with disappointment because you're not her expectation of her son or her daughter, and even though she look at you and she kind and she doesn't misgender you, but you can still tell that it's a slight disappointment. And we always live up to that expectation of disappointment instead of living up to the expectation of bountiness and fulfillment and happiness and all the other aspects that life has to offer us. We have to educate ourselves on who you are before you try to tell somebody else about the next trans person. Learn who you are as an individual. Learn what you, let that be the first beginning of the education process. Let people know about you, about your day. What do you do? What do you like? What kind of hair do you like?
Let me say something. Let me say something. My grandmother said this to me a long time ago. She said, I love you for who you are, and I want you to let people know who you are. Do not let your transgender or who you have sex with be the first thing people know about. Let them learn about you as a person. And once they see you as a person, they will never see you as whoever you are. And she's so right, because I've asked people in my past, and I've asked people that know me for years, okay, so since you know me for years, did you see me as he or she? And you know what? They laugh at me and they go, I only know you as Flex. I said, okay, so you don't make Flex, but did you know me as he or she? And they're like, what kind of question is that? I only know Flex. I said, wait a minute, did you see? They're like, Flex. I only know Flex. So they didn't see a gender with Flex. They saw the person, the heart, the person. They only saw, they didn't look at, it wasn't even about gender. It was just about the person.
100%.
And so when I hear that, I get excited because I feel like, well, I'm good. I'm good. They got to know me for me. So, and like you said, let people get to know you as a person. Your transition is yours.
It's
Your
yours.
transition is your journey. And if they're on the journey with you, let them go with you. But this is your journey. Don't let people know you for transitioning. Don't let that be the first thing that they talk. I know that trans girl. No, let them know I know Makayla.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
even if they won't, and see, the thing is, I come to find out for me personally and my family, for the people that don't get on board with the transitioning, for the people that don't call me Makayla, for the people, that still wants to refer to me as he and my government name and all that good shit, it's not okay, but it's easier because it's not coming from disrespect. It's coming from, that's who they know me as. They know me as the person, right? So even though they can't, they may not can't get quite on board with the transition, they don't disrespect me. They don't treat me less than. And I think that's, people, it's people intentions, right? If somebody was to call you by your, the name that was given to you at birth, right? But it didn't come off as, I'm trying to tell you who you are. They just come up, well, I haven't seen you in a while, so I just know you as this, I don't care about all this.
Right.
This is how I know you as, like, we have to understand, we have to meet people where they're at, and then you can reach them later on. It may take a while, but that's when you have to begin your work of letting people know who you are. We can't just sit there and assume that people are just going to, hey,
Jump on the bandwagon. Yeah.
I haven't been around y'all
They're not
for
going to
5
jump on that
years.
bandwagon.
Bam.
Because I'm going to be honest.
Go ahead.
I mean, because like I said, it took 14 years for my brother to get used to the name change. It took 14 years to realize he has a. See, we don't use the word brother and sister or brother and brother because he's uncomfortable calling me his brother. He's like, I just can't do it. Well, you're my sibling, damn it. We're siblings. So we use the word sibling. And when he introduces me, he says, this is my sibling, and he says my name. He's learning to do that. It's a learning process. Now, my mother, I hope and hopefully I'm praying that this happened. Yesterday was Mother's Day. My mother was online and said, what is your email address? My mother old trying to use internet, y'all. I'm just going to tell you that. And I said, well, do you have me on the internet? Yeah, I have this old email. I said, you got to get rid of that. You got to get rid of that. And that name's got to go. So we were trying to change it for her, but she deleted something. I said, well, you're going to have to start from the beginning. So I gave her, she knows my name, she just doesn't want to call it. So I gave it to her so she would have to put it in her computer as she needed to put it. And I said, and here's the name that the family's been calling me that's short for my government name because Flex Jones is my nickname. So she said, okay, I won't put Flex in there. I'll put this in there because it makes it easier. I said, well, when I did this, it was easier for you. She said, okay, well, I'll just put it in there.
And that's something that people don't do. Like, sometimes your mother, your father, who gave you your name, it's a whole other experience telling your parents, don't call me the name that you gave me, right? So sometimes, it's hard for them, especially if they're older, but maybe they may not call you Makayla. See, me and my mom, I've always had this gender neutral nickname since I was a little kid, Pumpkin. And that's just what she called me in public. It's just Pumpkin. Like, it's gender neutral. I don't mind it. She don't mind it. It's at a place of understanding. But that's what a lot of people don't do. It's like sometimes it's all or nothing. Like, half the time, let's keep it real. You haven't had your name changed legally, so why should people, people should respect you, but it's one thing when you have your name changed legally. It's not just an idea, it's actual a thing. So we have to understand sometimes that a lot of the confusion comes from us. We don't do the things that are necessary to gain the respect that we want.
Right. And that's the thing with my mom. She knew my genders had been changed. She said, oh, they don't change your gender on your birth. I said, yes, they did. So I showed her my driver's license. She said, well, how the hell they do that? I said, that's what they do, Mom. It just kind of, it just shook her like, well, damn, they doing stuff in America that I ain't supposed to be doing. I said, Mom, it's the way. But you haven't had your, I said, Mom, that's what they do. And she said, oh, okay, well, whatever. You still my child. So, the birthday cards are no more, hello, my daughter. It's hello, I love you, you are my child. Because I told her, I said, I don't keep your cards when they say daughter. I throw them things out. I'm sorry. And I told her. But it's taken time for her to understand. And I just hope that that little piece of paper with my email and the name, because my name is it's very non-binary for my family. I'm using an initial for them, which is V, which makes it easy for them. And so now they're saying the word V. When they're introducing me to their friends, this is my cousin V. That's all they're saying. They're not saying anything else or it makes it easier for them. And I did that because I know it's going to be hard for them.
Sometimes it's hard for you. Like, I don't know about you, but for me, this happened to me a couple of months ago. I just woke up, didn't even think of nothing. I was just getting up, getting ready to brush my teeth. I'm like, today's going to be a good day. And then in my thought process, I used my government name to myself. And that was like the first time I've done that in a long time. And that really sent me into a very depressed state for like a good 2 weeks that I even just thought of myself like that. So sometimes we need to get our own. And you know, you can't fool a lot of people, right? You could be as beautiful as you want to, but if that mind hasn't changed, you ain't never gonna fool people. That's why some people have so hard time with being clocked, and some people don't. It's because it's that mind change, baby. It has nothing to do with your, like, people can see through that physical appearance each and every time.
Right, right. How you present yourself, if you present your, oh, let me say this. If your name was Tom, and Tom was an asshole for all his life, and you're still an asshole, you're going to be Tom. I don't care if you change your name to Tamika. You're going to be Tom the asshole. But if you become Tamika, the changed person with stop being the asshole, they will call you Tamika respectfully because now you're not the asshole.
100.
I'm just telling you that. Look, I'm gonna tell you all a story. Everybody knows I talk about carrying a bat and swinging it. There was a time in my female life when I was female bodied, I could get away with swinging a bat. I would throw a bat at somebody real quick, didn't give a damn, and everybody knew. Here come little man. They call me they call me Weeby the Winger because I was winging out the bat. Okay, so for a long time they had a nickname of Weeby, and then I finally said this has got to stop. So when I transitioned, I got rid of all that because I knew if I kept it, they would never respect me for who I am. I don't even swing the bat like I want to. But if you beat me real good and I'm on the ground bleeding, I'm going to grab the bat and beat you back because I have the right to do that, to defend myself. But it used to be I would hit you without defending myself. I'll let you say something stupid and do something stupid, and I would swing the bat in the back of your head. So there's things that I had to change as a man today. I had to change. And one thing was not to be known for the person with the bat. So if you're Tom the asshole, and you want to be Tamika, the girl, Tamika, you're going to have to stop being the asshole so people will stop calling you Tom.
100%. And
because you bring your own drama, you bring your own drama into your transition.
100%. And people can see through that. Like, that's the thing that people don't understand, that people can see through that. People can see through who you
authentically want to be.
Exactly. People can see through your own public relations. Like, people have built up, especially with social media, this whole public relation team on it, and people will make you believe this.
Yeah.
This sweetest, most kind-hearted person in the world until you get to know them motherfuckers. And then when you get to know them motherfuckers, you realize they ain't no different than everybody else that you know for thousands of years.
Right. 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 So just basically with our Black trans community, we desire and asking, and I'm extending out to all of us in our Black transgender community, it's time to recondition our cisgender community. That's including our gay and lesbian. If we can get our Black, gay, and lesbian community on track with us, it will help make a change towards what we need as a community. Because once they're on the bandwagon, their mama and daddies get on the bandwagon too. And we also need to change the way we represent ourselves as a community. We no longer have to be looked at as sex workers or as fighting men and women or abusive towards each other. We need to change that at best. In order to get the respect that we need that's due, we need to do that. And I'm going to say this. For many of us, we do not extend ourselves to organizations because we feel that it's whitewashed. But when it is a transgender event or a transgender assistance program or anything like that, it has no color to it. Extend yourself to that to get that help because it's there for you. So we, as a community, we've got to bond together and work together. Just like me and Makayla sat here and said, this is what we're going to do tonight. We come together, we're working together in order to change for better. It's not going to happen overnight, but we have to set by example. Again, set by example what we desire individually and as a community.
100%. And I'm going to add on to that. Let your life be the example. Stop trying to let it be something that you can verbalize or that you feel like other people should do. Do it. If you're out here and you're you know, escorting, and you want to sit up here and tell the other girls not to escort, you stop escorting. If you're a trans man and you feel like other trans men should be more visible or this, do it. Do it. If you are in a relationship, and like for me, one of the only reasons why I put my relationship on social media the way that I do is because when I was single, I just want so badly to see a guy and a trans girl together. Like that was just something that for a long time for me, I didn't even think was possible. So be that example, be that light, be that shining spirit, be that star in the night that you want for other people to be. And I think our community can get somewhere. We just be the examples that we want other people to be.
Right, because if we don't do any changes in our community, we won't have the respect and the changes that we desire from our Black cisgender community. In order to get that, we've got to prove that. You know, we have to prove that. I'm going to say this to you. There was a time that students at HBU were not well respected. But when they stood up for themselves and became who they needed to become as educated people, people began to respect them for being educated Black individuals, young Black individuals. And then they got out of college and made something of themselves so that they could prove that that education was worth it. So here I'm saying to my Black transgender community, we are the next, I'm going to say it, I'm going to put it out, I'm going to brag right now. We are the next generation of what, within the binary, we are the next generation of men and women. We need to set by example, because guess what? They're now, as we're evolving, we have so many trans men and trans women in the binary field, in the binary, that are living, that are here. We need to set by examples as Black men and women of color by way of transgender experience. We need to set by example.
And if you can't do that, get out the way. That's where I'm coming from. That's like, stop trying to bring the next person down. Stop hating on the next person event. When people sit up there and say, you know what, I'm tired of being put in the closet or this, and I'm going to do something to open the door for other people. Stop being that person that's trying to destroy. Stop being the person that's being overly critical. You didn't do it, so stop criticizing the next person for what they're doing.
Don't be jealous. Don't be jealous. Be happy, because whatever they're doing is going to open a door for you.
100%.
Whatever they're doing is going to end up opening a door for you. It may not be right away, it may not be the way you want it, but believe it or not, something's going to come your way. And you have to be patient with getting it your way. Rome wasn't built in a day, baby. Rome was not built in no damn day. And neither was America, thank you.
Brick by brick, piece by piece. And
right.
Also, stop, kids. Stop girls. Stop grown-ass girls older than me. Stop grown-ass trans men older than flex. Stop allowing cisgender people believe that we aren't together. Stop calling that girl a brick. Yeah, she may, instead of calling her a brick, go help her out. Go see what's going on in her life. If you're a trans man and you see another trans man and he isn't in his transition the way that you think he should be, don't
extend yourself. Extend yourself. Extend yourself is what you do. Because not all of us are fortunate. Not all of us are fortunate. Y'all know there was a time. Okay, y'all gonna hurt me on this one. I hate to say this. There was a time. I hope they don't get me and put me in jail. There was a time when I started my transition that a lot of Caucasian trans men helped me along the way. When I didn't have my meds, somebody sent me my meds. Do you know that when someone of Black transgender experience needed their meds, I sent them some meds. I sent them some supplements as well, like vitamins and stuff, to get them started. So guess what? No, I didn't do it every day, but there was somebody I knew that needed their medicine. medicine real bad. And this individual was what did live with me. And I knew their struggle. And I said, I got you. Because without our medicines, we can end up being physically sick. So that's why I did that. But, you know, I don't do it anymore because I was that one person. But I will say this, I do extend myself. And because of that, I'm putting another plug in. That's why there's an organization called Fifth Avenue Alliance here in North Carolina, which is established, which is working its way from the South all the way across. In a few years, hopefully, we'll be in 50 states. This is why Fifth Avenue, which started in my living room and someone else's living room, we fed people, we assisted people with getting medical care for the transition. I extended myself to so many of you out there that know what I'm talking about because I've already been there. There's an old saying that I've been taught, and Makayla, you may have heard this too. Whatever is given to you freely, don't hold on to it. Give back to others freely.
Yep.
Because in turn, you will get yours.
100%.
Pay it forward. You got to pay it forward.
And that's what we don't do as Black people and
right.
as trans people is pay it forward to take the things that we have. It's not even necessarily financial things. It's spiritual things. It's things that we've gained through the world. It's gifts that we have that we don't share because somebody's just going to take it from us, or somebody's going to use us for it, or this, that, and the third. Sometimes, guess what? Being used isn't necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes that's where other people are at. Sometimes some people were only created just to be used, just to be shepherds, just to help other people. Everybody can't be leaders. Right. Some people have to be chiefs. Right. Some people have to be followers. Some people have to be in use or be in service to others.
Right, right. So that's why we're saying to you all, if all works well, we don't ever get support from the cisgender community. We have to be strong within our own community. And because we are outside of that cisgender community. And our Black cisgender community, I don't think it'll ever come to our rescue anytime soon if we don't turn around and put our foot down and start educating that community, and starting with our gay community, and stop letting them call, look, when they start calling the trans men girl, because some of the good trans girls call us girls, stop calling me a girl. Stop calling me a fish. Stop saying that I used to be a fish or whatever. Stop putting down trans men. Because what you say around gay people, they repeat what you say. Exactly. Monkey see, monkey do.
100%.
Monkey see, monkey do.
And stop being led by your dick and your ass and your pussy. Just because you're not attracted to it doesn't mean you can't get some kind of understanding for it. Just because I say this to all these trans attractive men who come into the community, before you call yourself talking to somebody pretty, try being friends with somebody you're not attracted to. Try being friends with somebody you have no sexual desire in at all. Because that's the way you're truly gonna learn. Because you don't want nothing from them. So you gotta be able to listen to what they have to say.
Parker said he was currently in rehab and just left the hospital where he was discriminated against and didn't receive any proper care. Parker, what state was that in?
Oh man, Parker, I'm so sorry, brother. I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry to hear that, yeah. Parker, what state was that in? And let me ask you, we were just talking earlier, and I don't mean to be in your business, but have you had your name changed and your gender marker changed as well?
He said Maryland. He said Maryland.
He was in Maryland with this?
Mm-hmm. Maryland has a really LGBT community center.
Transgender community, yeah. That's kind of unusual.
Parker, if you inbox me directly, I know somebody who works at the Gay and Lesbian Center in Maryland, and maybe they could help you. So if you inbox me, I will direct you to this person.
And Jamie said most cis men are led by our small heads. What do you mean by that, Jamie? He said small heads. What do you mean what you said, Jamie?
Oh, I was talking about their penis.
Jamie's on a mission. Jamie's on a mission.
It's the truth.
So you haven't had. So Parker.
Go ahead. A lot of cisgender men are truly led by people that they're attracted to. So, like for me, in my case, I'm not the most passable trans woman in the world, but I'm also not the least passable trans woman in the world. So I come to find out that men who are attracted to me treat me a lot differently than men who aren't attracted to me. And I think that if we can get to a place that we deal with people who we aren't attracted to at the least, then we can get some education. Because, you know, that's how you build. You shouldn't be attracted to your friends. Like, you shouldn't want to have sex with your friends. Your friends should be people that you have no sexual desire for. That's how I look at my friends.
Right. Right. Well, I'm trying to find a mate. That's all I know. I'm still a bachelor. And the thing, my thing is, I'm attracted to the mentality of a person and the soul of a person. So, you know, hopefully I'll find that mate. But being that said, for my cisgender friends that are looking, please don't match me up with your sister or your mother or your cousin. I love cisgender women, but at this present time, I've had enough experience, and I'm not comfortable with them now in my life at 56. So if you know of a very decent and very well-mannered trans woman, Makayla, please feel free to send them my way. I'm still a bachelor. I cook. Now, see, this is what I want you cisgender people to know. As a trans man, I can cook, clean, wash a car. I do what anybody else could do the best way I can. Okay? I wash my own clothes. That came from being taught to be domesticated by my mama and my grandmother and my aunt. All the men, here we go. That's about being a man in my family. All the men were taught to do that. It was not a feminine job. It was what the men did. You know, my uncle owned a dry cleaners, and my grandfather was a tailor. So that tells you a lot about my family. We're very domesticated. So with that being said, Charleston, I'm not a girl. I'm a guy. Thank you. I hope you're saying girl to Makayla. If not, I am a guy. So just so everybody understands that being the man that I am, I was taught a lot, and some of the things that I obtained when I was female body, I carried over to be the best man that I can be for me. And it works well. So for those women that are single and looking, I am here. Thank you very much. I accept your apology. I accept your apology.
And we all have to understand that there's a lot of education that needs to be given when it comes to the whole trend. Because I say this all the time. Up until a few years ago, even me, I knew what a transgender person was. I knew what a transsexual was, but I didn't know this whole community existed. And I thank God that was the time of social media where I could find a community and this, that, and the third. We have to also be mindful of what we seek. Because a lot of the times we say we seek community, but we're just seeking a mate. And we expect the mate to be a part of the community. And that's not, it's two different things. Like, you can't seek a mate and seek community at the same time. You have to have different spaces for different things. So, I just sit there and say, seek the community. Seek out some ugly people that you're not attracted to. Learn about the community because.
Well, wait a minute. Now you said ugly people. See, my dad said if you get an ugly woman, she won't go nowhere, won't cheat on you. She probably can cook real good.
When I say ugly,
and if you get an ugly man,
people you're not attracted to. I see somebody that you're not attracted to, and be their best friends. Hey, and as far as the ugly, hey, I know people who I think are ugly who are in very loving, long-term relationships. So that don't.
They are. I'm just picky at 56, though. I'm trying to find a Barbie.
Good luck.
I mean, but you know, that's just my mind. That's just how I am. It's just flex. It's just what I am. But I know I won't find a Barbie. I'm not no Ken. I'm just like a short little man. Okay, that's all I am. So I'll find somebody hopefully that'll love a bald headed man with some glasses and a piercing in their nose and think I'm cool looking or whatever, you know. But it's all good. You know, and it is what it is. But like I said, for those that are cisgender watching the show, please understand we want you to extend this. I want you to extend any video that we do or any talk show that I do with Real-Nez and Reality and let people understand that this is just to educate and to be people to understand where we're at. Now remember the words and the speaking and everything that came from my heart and came from Makayla's mouth and her heart, they were our individual mindset. It wasn't to represent the community as a whole. It was to represent ourselves and what we know and how we feel and what we've seen personally, our experiences. It was based on our individual experience. It's not everyone's experience. I want everybody to know that. Now, our transgender community, we may have similar experiences as each other, but our journeys are always going to be